Hi there, I'm Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty for February 15th, 2014. Our first article today is from Political Velcraft. Fifth Wall Street banker suicided. Taken out to prevent Forex fraud transparency. U.S. being drained.
And in case you haven't figured it out by now, these banker suicide, in quotes, are not really a good thing. You could guess that the dark side would resort to murder, and in fact that's what they are doing. These are whistleblowers. These are high-level bankers that turned against their masters, and they are being eliminated so they can't testify. That has been what has been happening, so I would urge everybody to pray for good whistleblowers, for the Lord to preserve them, and that justice would be done, that the dark cabal that is masterminding this would actually further incriminate themselves, as indeed they are doing, but the evidence needs to come to light.
And I believe, I saw some tweets that there even was a sixth banker who died, I think, yesterday.
I think it might be how they're counting them. I'm not really sure. I thought that the guy that had the nail gun was the fifth, and then this was the sixth, but I don't know. So, yeah, they're being counted above a certain level, and the level of influence might be somewhat flexible, so the counts might not completely agree, but it's definitely happening.
Yeah, I think I even heard or read somewhere that there actually were like another 20 that were at lower levels,
right?
who had also died.
Yeah. Okay.
Interestingly enough, I think it sounds as if this guy was very high ranking. Another J.P. Morgan banker dies. 37-year-old executive director of program trading.
Yeah, that is huge. The J.P. Morgan director of program trading, very, very big.
And there has been information coming out about the manipulation of the markets. And of course, a couple weeks ago, that headline broke about how manipulation of the commodities markets is even more of a broader scandal than the LIBOR scandal. And
specifically metals and currencies.
Yeah. And Gerald Celente had some tweets yesterday about that very topic, about the manipulation of the gold and currency markets. And one thing that he tweeted was that they won't indefinitely be able to control those markets. And gold breaks above key technical level for the first time in over a year yesterday.
Yeah, this could be the end of their game, or the beginning of the end of it. I mean, we're not saying anything new when we say that the currencies and metal markets have been rigged. That's been known by people that are into truth and the actual hard asset currencies for a long time. But it does look as if this could be the logjam breaking. And we see different things happening on the international level where the movements of gold, actually this information is in that first article that we mentioned earlier, that the movements of the gold around the world are away from the Anglo-American banking system establishment and into the new Chinese and BRIC nations. And there's an alliance with Iran, which is the real reason for the warmongering against Iran. So you have the beginnings of a new financial system worldwide that is going to replace the fiat currency model that will be based on real assets. And so there's a lot of voices that are saying that that's very, very soon. And so be prepared. There's a lot of people also saying that there could be a period of time when things will be disrupted. But as far as prices in the U.S. go, it's probably likely to have an absolute immediate impact unless people start increasing prices in order to help recoup some of the losses that they anticipate for the future. So good news, but rocky times ahead until it all sorts out.
And of course, it seems that the cabal are continuing to try to stir up war somewhere in the world with all the pressure in Ukraine, and they've got this going now. CIA's regime-changing activities in Venezuela. The revolution will not be televised.
Yeah, I'm no Hugo Castro fan, but this is just par for the course where they're going to replace one tyranny with another. I'm sure that's the intent, and people should wonder why hasn't any U.S. intervention around the world for the last 50 or more years ever ended in another representative democracy like we're supposed to have. So, yeah, the game continues. They're seeking control. I am sure that the cabal's intent is to get more oil reserves so that they can continue their game, because Venezuela is rich in oil.
And of course, the more they destabilize, and the weaker people are, the more fear is on people. And I always find it interesting, and I don't know that this plays a role in Venezuela, but just the history of our country, the excuse for getting involved in other nations' politics has often been civil rights issues. And there's just this great irony that I think is becoming more and more obvious to more and more people, that we've invaded countries because they've done things to protesters or prisoners, and we arrest peaceful protesters in this country. Well, we don't, of course, but the cabal agents who are in control in this country arrest peaceful protesters. So we don't have a leg to stand on as far as getting involved in other nations' politics for civil rights violations. And this is getting old. I think I think people are becoming wary of this country through the CIA and other agencies becoming involved in the politics of other countries on any level.
Right, absolutely. The U.S. has the world's largest prison population, to add to what Cindy said, and the vast majority of those are non-violent offenders. So this is really, and it's all for income and by the prison corporations, as well as silencing dissent. So no, we're not the model of liberty that the mainstream media would like you to believe.
I guess not. Now, if we could intervene in Belgium to prevent this, I don't know. That might almost be worthwhile.
Let's send an army to get the child killers.
The child killers. Queen Beatrix and her, everybody in her beehive there in Belgium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Belgium socialists get ready to okay child euthanasia. And this is pretty tragic. I mean, once you cross the line of, do no harm, you get away from common law, the Ten Commandments, there really is no other logical stopping place for human behavior, is there?
No, and I really want to underscore that, the whole idea that you could have a long-term socialist society that doesn't degrade into something like this is really not possible. It always does. So, and that's because fundamentally socialism is a violation of individual rights, and those individual rights will continue to erode at the expense of the collective whole, supposedly always for the greater good. And here we have that perfect example of child euthanasia for the greater good, supposedly. And so this is ultimately all that socialism is ends justify the means, and it just ain't so. It never was, it never will be.
Yeah, it's a trap, and Don is an expert on socialism. And has had much opportunity to sharpen his argument because his brother believes that socialism is a great idea.
There's no, well, actually, to be fair about it, here's a common mindset which I see in my own family and in discussions, is that Our country is not doing so good. That must be because our form of government is good. And hey, look over there, the socialist countries, they're all doing fine. So let's become like them. And no, it's not because socialism is so great. It's just because it's better than what we've got. But the people with that mindset, what they fail to realize is that we are not what we are supposed to be. We've been taken over by a banker cabal that the founders warned us against, and we've got to get back to that. There needs to be one nation on the earth that stands for individual liberty, and it might as well be us, and all we need to do is to fight for what we're supposed to be all about.
I want to stand for individual liberty.
Yep, me too.
And of course, you know, some of the issues in our country have to do with us many people having been dumbed down through mind control, vaccine poisoning, and other forms of poisoning. And this video is pretty shocking, and you probably have seen some of the videos about the guy who tried to melt the snow in Georgia with a blowtorch and wasn't able to. It didn't melt, it just shrank. And here is some more in-depth proof that there really is something wrong with the snow, something unusual with the snow that has been falling.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because this person actually, under the microscope, looks at what she calls, because people understand 3D printing now, she says that what's going on here is a nano 3D printer that will produce polymers that behave somewhat like snow. And so it's not, it's not something that stopped producing the snow, so-called snow. It's still producing it. And it contains some very nefarious ingredients, including depleted uranium. So this is really, really bad stuff. And as you may know, it was also recently disclosed by people that have studied what's in the chemtrails that they do contain radioactive elements. So yeah, we're being poisoned. Those chemtrails need to stop. It's getting really bad, and this fake snow is just a new wrinkle in all of that.
So I guess it's crucial for all of us to do everything we possibly can to protect our health, to protect our children, and to end this nasty, toxic tyranny as soon as possible.
Yeah, and there are people fighting at the high levels, but they need support on the ground from unaware and awake public that is saying no more and using whatever means you have of sharing and spreading the truth about what's really going on, or waking up your friends and family and doing whatever you can. It's this is a battle that needs to be fought on all fronts.
With that, we hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for tuning in for this week's Pearls of Liberty.
And we remind you to see the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You are the one you've been waiting for.